Hi, and welcome to Raz Reviews. Today I'm going to be looking at two things actually. I'm going to look at House of Gucci and Arcane, the series on Netflix. The reason I'm doing that is because within the span of a very short period of time, I managed to see the best thing I've seen all year and the worst thing I've seen all year, and both were quite unexpected. Logically, you'd think, a movie by Ridley Scott starring Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, and Al Pacino, that's definitely the best thing I'm going to see all year, versus an animated series that's based off of League of Legends, the MOBA game that I'm not a fan of. Definitely not gonna be the best thing I've seen. However, the world is crazy and insane and everything is backwards and the apocalypse is upon us, so find your shelter. Because House of Gucci was the worst thing I've seen all year and Arcane was brilliant. So let's start with House of Gucci. House of Gucci follows the story of the Gucci family dynasty in the 90s and how they were running the business of Gucci, a glamorous, up-and-coming fashion design monster. And I don't want to spoil the plot, but if you know the history of Gucci and the Gucci family, you'll know that things didn't really work out well for most of them. Seeing the trailers and seeing Ridley Scott take this on was something that I was very excited about, and I couldn't wait to watch this film. So I walked in with very high expectations, and critical reception was decent. I mean, it has, positive reviews overall, so I went in very excited. However, I was completely and absolutely disappointed by this movie. Shockingly so. And there's a lot of reasons for that. The biggest reason for me would be the script. Man, who wrote this? The story is so rushed. They skip through so many things that you feel like somebody's just pushing you through all these points in their lives. So I don't really get to experience any of the changes, the relationships, the dynamics, the developments, nothing. I just see a moment in time that starts something or ends something, and then I skip, and then I reach another moment that starts or ends something. So I'm being told these people are in love. I'm being told these guys hate each other. I'm being told that now they're friends. I'm being told that they have the company, they lost the company. So that the ending and all the things that escalate towards the end of the film don't really hit you. And the trailer does not really paint an accurate picture of the film. The trailer is much more exciting than the film itself. The film is kind of dull. It's a lot of people sitting around and talking. Okay. It drags a lot. It's like 2 hours and a half or something. That is way too long. This should not have been more than 2 hours. It's definitely salvaged by an amazing cast. Lady Gaga did great. She's fantastic in this. Adam Driver gives a fantastic performance. Al Pacino's great. Jeremy Irons in this. Like, do you hear these people? They're amazing. How is this movie bad? There is one performance that I really disliked, and probably not a popular opinion when it comes to this, but I did not like Jared Leto's performance, and to be honest, he was one of the biggest things that ruined the movie for me. Every time he was in a scene, I was just like, the biggest problem I have is actually the accent that he puts on. He does the Super Mario accent. He's just like, I don't know how to thank you, what I'm gonna cry, how are people watching? No one's laughing? How can I take this seriously? Look, Jared Leto's a very talented guy, but sometimes he kind of goes over the top with his personas and the makeup and the crazy characters, and this is one of those times. I know that he's based on a real life person, and that person is a big character supposedly and over the top, but still, like, he sounds like a cartoon. I kid you not, if you watch the movie, he does this thing with his voice that's so high pitched. It's like, I cannot, this is just a mock up at the Polonaise, and you can't. It keeps going higher and higher the more emotional he gets. Like, what am I watching? Even Lady Gaga's accent. Sometimes she's Italian, sometimes this is Russian. What are you doing? And here's the question. Why are all the actors doing an Italian accent? The film takes place in Italy for the most part. They're all Italian characters that are talking to each other. You either make the film Italian and make us, read subtitles, or, okay, do the Hollywood thing, make it English. Why are they talking in an Italian accent, but they're speaking English, but I'm supposed to think they're talking Italian? None of that makes sense. Make the movie in English. We'll understand that in reality they were speaking Italian to each other, but this film is English language, so I get it. Like when he did Gladiator, he didn't do this. I didn't want to hear Russell Crowe do Maximus Aurelius with an Italian accent. Are you not entertained? He's Roman. Of course he doesn't speak English, and it worked fine. I suspend my belief. Another big issue was the tone. I couldn't tell if the movie wanted to be serious or wanted to be funny or wanted to be over the top or wanted to be campy. It was just a mess. The actors characters really carried the film, but it wasn't good enough for me, and I couldn't wait for it to be over, to be honest. Which brings me to Arcane, that I never wanted to end, despite being triple the amount of time I spent watching House of Gucci. We're talking about 9 episodes, about 40 to 45 minutes each, and they went by like lightning. And I cannot wait to see more of it. So let's talk about Arcane and what makes it so good. So Arcane is basically a show that's a prequel to the lore and story of the game League of Legends. It's set in the city of Piltover, and it follows a bunch of characters. Some are low-class characters from the underground, and other characters are from, the higher end of society. And the city is experiencing new revelations and innovations in technology, and maybe even a little bit of magic, and how that's affecting everybody's lives. We have multiple characters that we need to be introduced to. They have their own storylines, their own wants and needs and circumstances, and their own character arcs. And somehow the show manages to set up every character in such a great way, show us their arc throughout in such a wonderful way, and then in the end give us a payoff for each and every one of them while setting up a new season that I can't wait to see. This is 101 what makes a show or a film or a story work. It's this: setting up characters that are interesting, showing us cool things about them, at the same time making us connect with them emotionally, giving us a world that's very intriguing and interesting. By the way, I've never played League of Legends. I know nothing about the world, I know nothing about the characters, and I know nothing about anything. I just know it's a MOBA game. That's it. So I was a little hesitant, but I saw a lot of people tell me, some of you even in the comment sections telling me, watch Arcane, review Arcane, and I did. And it exceeded my expectations phenomenally. What a fantastic show. It's so emotional, so powerful. The characters are so interesting. It hits everything out of the park. Everything. Voice acting, fantastic. Great characters. They are set up in the first 3 episodes. We connect so much with them that everything that happens later really hits you. There's some really emotional depth to the story. There's a lot of cool themes and messages coming from it. Fantastic stuff. This show has a villain, probably one of my favorite villains in the last couple of years, maybe even ever. Wonderful dynamic with the heroes of the story. Just amazing stuff. Visually, it's spectacular. They combine 2D and 3D animation to give you this beautiful visual treatment of this world and of these people. It's so unique and wonderful. Music is great. Imagine Dragons come in and they do this really cool soundtrack. The fight scenes are so good. Probably some of the best fight scenes I've seen in any animated thing. This show rivals, if not sometimes even exceeds, what they did with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I thought was one of the coolest animated things I've ever seen, until Arcane. The show does not rush anything. Great writing, fantastic pacing, great reveals, great twists, great emotions, great characters. What do you want? It's amazing. I immediately went to see who wrote this. Who wrote this show? Who is this? What have they done? I looked it up. Nobody. They're writers from the game. I'm like, what the hell? These guys have no experience doing shows? Because again, it's very interesting when you look at House of Gucci. You're talking about Ridley Scott, talking about experienced screenwriters, and they gave us that. And then I believe these guys who have been trying to sell this idea for a while and couldn't find anybody to do what they wanted with it story-wise, so they ended up doing it themselves. They're novices, but when you're passionate about the story, when you're passionate about the idea, anybody can make a great piece of film or TV. Anybody. And this is the example. Just because you're experienced, just because you're a veteran, doesn't mean you're the best person to tell the story. The best person to tell the story is the person who loves it. Arcane is made by people who love the game, who love the world so much that it's infectious, that it can get somebody like me who doesn't like the game, who doesn't know anything about it, to fall in love with these characters and this world. And that's a fantastic achievement. It's a fun show for anybody who likes fantasy. It's great even if you're not a big fan of animation. It's still amazing. I highly recommend it, and you don't need to know anything about the game, and you don't need to be a fan. You just gotta watch. It's a beautiful story, well told, and that's it. So at the end of the day, looking at House of Gucci and Arcane, I just couldn't get over the fact that they were both the worst thing that I've seen all year and the best thing I've seen all year. And somehow I always thought it would be the opposite. In the end, House of Gucci was very dull. It was very weird. It didn't flow very well. There was a big problem with the performance of Jared Leto that kind of brought the film down for me. And I didn't feel connected with the film emotionally at all. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna give House of Gucci a 5.5 out of 10. While Arcane was a wonderful masterpiece, emotional, powerful, visually beautiful and compelling, amazing characters, amazing storylines, set up a world and made me want more and more and more of it, and I'm going to give Arcane a 9.5 out of 10. So, now that we're approaching the end of the year, let me know in the comment section what's the worst thing and the best thing you've seen in 2021, and let me know what you thought of House of Gucci and Arcane. And as always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and let me know what you'd like me to review for you next. See ya!